Tonight, Victoria's COVID-19 crisis stage 3 restrictions reintroduced for Melbourne and the Mitchell Shire. The border to New South Wales closed and Victorians shut out. This comes as 9 public housing estates remain in full lockdown and chaos unfolds at our supermarkets. Panic buying seen only minutes after Daniel Andrews' announcement. We'll have special coverage. Plus, the situation getting worse in the United States. Shortly, we'll be speaking to a reporter on the ground in South Carolina. Also tonight, more mass demonstrations after a new national security law was passed by China. Jack Han has the details on what this means for Hong Kong's future. And Kanye for president, the US rapper makes a surprising announcement on Twitter. 6 News starts now. And good evening to you this Sunday. Thanks for joining us. We have comprehensive coverage tonight of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we begin with the latest developments on the crisis gripping Victoria and the major Melbourne metropolitan area, as well as the Mitchell Shire, have reintroduced stage 3 restrictions on the same day Victoria recorded a record 191 new cases of coronavirus. This means you can only leave your house for essential reasons, including buying food and for work and exercise. Also, the New South Wales border has been closed for the first time in 100 years. Shortly, we'll be speaking to a local on the border. 9 public housing estates in Melbourne remain in a hard lockdown tonight due to a spike in cases in those hotspot suburbs. We'll have more on that in just a moment. And Prep to Year 10 students in Victoria will have an extra week of holidays, with the state government announcing that when these students return, they will have their temperature checked before they enter. And if they do have a high temperature, they will be sent home and asked to have a COVID-19 test. And we begin with the situation in Victoria, where there's confusion about how the border between the metropolitan Melbourne area and the regional suburbs will work. Lincoln Holmes begins our coverage.
Police roadblocks just like this one will be in place right around the state as Victoria struggles to contain its second wave.
We really wanted to show our support to Melbourne and Wyndham, especially our neighbours.
The acting Geelong Mayor has sent resources to coronavirus-riddled areas like Wyndham and Melbourne to help contain the spread.
We're really pleased Geelong's not been locked down further. We've only had a few cases in the last few weeks.
The Geelong region has only recorded 2 confirmed cases over the last week, which is why they want to keep Melburnians from coronavirus hotspots out.
We need to be strict from today and try to contain it within our community and just keep our community safe.
King George Fish and Chips wasn't even serving Melburnians before lockdown.
Like an emotional moment, there were a few tears.
Gyms and hairdressers will also have to shut up shop for at least 6 weeks. Lincoln Holmes, 6 News.
And the situation is even more dire in the United States, where they are fast approaching 150,000 coronavirus deaths. Jackson Gosnell is the US correspondent for Ticker TV. He joins me now live. Good evening to you, Jackson. Did the cases actually rise over the 4th of July holiday?
So our testing is a little bit behind. So at the moment, it is unknown if the 4th of July has caused cases to rise. Here in the U.S., we have about a 3-day waiting period from when the coronavirus test is administered until a result is given. So at this point, it is unknown. It is still too early to tell if the 4th of July is the result of some new case rises. We'll have to see what the tests unveil coming up in a few days.
What about your President Trump? He's been copping a lot of criticism for that rally at Mount Rushmore, hasn't he? What's the general take on that?
So I think his supporters are definitely in favor of having that rally there at Mount Rushmore, while the opposition says he shouldn't have, that he should have been wearing a mask. You know, the Democrats who are against him, it seems that they can't be satisfied in terms of what he does. So I think no matter what he does, he will always get pushback from the media as well as the Democrats as well.
And Jackson, are most people actually wearing face masks and taking that health advice where you are?
So I'm in South Carolina. We are a very conservative state. A lot of people do not believe in new ideas or following any type of advice from government officials. So people here are not really wearing a mask. I mean, if you go to the grocery store, you'll see older people wearing them. But in general, people are not wearing them here. Across the country, I know that up north, a lot of people are wearing them, whilst in the southern states that are seeing these rises in cases, people are not wearing them. So it is kind of evident that the mask slows the spread of this virus, because if you look at case numbers around the nation, you see that in the southern parts, it's really where the cases have continued to increase.
All right, and just before I let you go, Kanye for president, what do you make of that?
I think it's interesting. I was on Ticker Jumpstart a few days ago, and Alana said anything can happen in 2020. I totally agree with that. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens as a result of his announcement.
Can he actually run, though? Because it's pretty late in the presidential race, isn't it?
I don't know at this point. It is late in the race, definitely, for sure. So I don't know how that will come into play, but I guess there is a chance. I mean, he does seem to have a lot of supporters on his Twitter account.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Jackson, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And panic buying has returned in Victoria, with lines seen outside supermarkets only minutes after Premier Daniel Andrews' announcement about the return to Stage 3 restrictions. This exclusive footage taken outside Woolworths in Kew shows what happened, with stores reintroducing product limits less than 24 hours after they got rid of them. As always, we are being warned not to panic buy, but unfortunately it seems like those warnings are being ignored. The ACT has recorded its first 3 coronavirus cases in a month. Journalist Daniel Pizarro joins me now live from Canberra. Good evening, Daniel. Can you tell us a bit about these new cases?
Hello, Leo. Yes, after more than a month of being COVID-free, the ACT government announced that we have 3 confirmed cases of coronavirus. The cases stem from 2 people in their 20s coming from Melbourne over the weekend before all these restrictions came into effect. They live in the same house with a 3rd person who is now also infected. Now, these people went to the Fishwick market and then the Westfield in Belconnen, but we have been told that that is a low risk to other people. And so far, we haven't had any more cases being confirmed, although we do expect a lot more testing to happen in the ACT over the next few days. The Chief Minister, Andrew Barr, has announced that anyone from Victoria coming into the ACT will be banned unless they have an exemption. We were also told that planned loosening of restrictions that were due to happen on Friday have been postponed. However, community sport, which is supposed to restart on Friday, that will go ahead. And there was a moment of concern as to seeing whether or not community sport in the ACT would be allowed to go ahead. I play Aussie Rules with the Gungahlin Jets Aussie Rules team, and our season starts next Saturday. So we were concerned that there would be either the entire cancellation or another postponement, but for the moment, it seems to be going ahead. So the ACT government is still advising everyone, maintain the social distancing rules, be sensitive, wash your hands, just do the same things that we've been doing over the past couple of months, and just use the common sense methods that have been in place. And hopefully, we will only have just these small number of COVID-19 cases in the ACT.
Okay, Daniel, thanks for your time. And in some developing news now, staying with those cases in the ACT, we're being told that community sport in the Capital Territory will be further delayed by another week because of another case of coronavirus there. It's believed it was linked to those other 3 Daniel just talked about as a close contact. Moving on, in the New South Wales-Victoria border has been closed for the first time in 100 years. Traffic was banked up on both sides of the border only hours after it was officially closed. Premier Daniel Andrews spoke to Karl Stefanovic on Today, saying he takes responsibility. Take a look.
Premier, do you take responsibility for it, and do you feel any of the pain?
Of course I do, Carl. I'm the leader of the state. I'm the leader of the government. No one wanted to be in this position. But again, I don't get the luxury of ignoring this. I don't get the luxury of saying, well, it won't be popular to do this. You've got to make the tough calls. That's what I've done. We'll get to the other side of this, though.
Premier Daniel Andrews speaking there, and for more on this, I'm joined live by Granger Lee. He's a local in Tallangatta. He joins me now live from Wodonga on the Victorian side of the border. Granger, thanks for your time. Talk to us. How is this affecting the locals there? Because it really is part of your day-to-day lives, isn't it?
It really is. Although Albury, Wodonga are two separate cities, it very much is one community. And literally thousands of people cross from one side to the other, potentially, every single day just for work and school, etc. So the logistics, I guess they've learnt some lessons perhaps from Coolangatta and Tweed Heads and down on the South Oz border. So they'll have some challenges just running the stops and checking that everyone has their exemption. And of course, there will be many people without perhaps initially at least, the ability to get those exemptions to get to work. What I would say is that there's no evidence of Corona-19 in this region, and it's a very big region. So I think potentially they could have done the checks perhaps just north of Melbourne, somewhere south of Seymour, and therefore only impact the communities that are absolutely necessary to minimise that impact.
Right, Granger, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, mate.
The end of Hong Kong, those were the stark words from some in response to a controversial new law passed last week. Straight to our Foreign Affairs correspondent, Jack Hahn. Jack, what was this law actually about?
Leo, this law bans terrorism and collusion with foreign forces, but it also bans secession, which is breaking away from the country, and subversion, which is undermining the power of the Chinese central government. Now, these calls that we have seen in the last year, these protests for Hong Kong freedom, well, that could be seen as subversion, wanting to break away from the country. And now with this new law, it could end with life in prison. Now, China says that this is to protect the residents of Hong Kong from these protests, but these freedom fighters called this new law the end of one country, two systems. Leo.
Okay, Jack Hahn live in Sydney, thank you. Staying in Sydney now, and radio station 2GB has made major programming changes since the departure of controversial shock jock Alan Jones. Jake Challenor is the host of Inside Entertainment, which airs on Ticker TV. He joins me now live. Jake, thanks for joining us. Talk us through some of the changes 2GB has made.
Yeah, 2GB has always been an incredibly dominant player in the radio. It's number one every single survey. Of course, Channel 9 took over from Macquarie Media officially last year and installed Tom Malone as the new CEO of Nine Radio. He was appointed by Nine's chief, Hugh Marks. He's been making a lot of changes. The biggest of those changes is Jones' departure from the network, and then of course that moved Ben Fordham into the breakfast show, opening up the drive show. Jim Wilson's come across from 7 News to take on that. They installed Deb Knight into afternoons on the station, so there's been a lot of change at that network, but I feel like it's finding its feet now and everyone's starting to settle in.
We'll leave it there, Jake, thank you. Pauline Hanson has been dropped as a regular commentator on Channel 9's Today Show after comments she made about the residents in the 9 Melbourne public housing commissions that have been fully locked down due to the spread of coronavirus. The One Nation leader calling them alcoholics and drug addicts. This is some of what she had to say on the Today Show.
Oh, come on, Ellie. We've seen food being delivered there. The fact is that a lot of them are drug addicts. There are 3,000 people, well. Pauline. They've actually medication. They're getting their medication. They're alcoholics, so they're being looked after that way. They're actually getting paid extra money. Why are they getting paid extra money? For what? They're not leaving the premises. A lot of these people are from non-English speaking backgrounds. Probably English is their second language, who haven't adhered to the rules of social distancing. They all use a lot of the same laundry. So the fact is, you've got to look at why they're in that situation.
Now, following those comments, Channel 9 released a statement only a few hours after the social media backlash, saying they welcome diverse opinions, but Pauline Hanson's comments were uneducated, and as a result of that, she's been dropped as a regular commentator in her normal Monday spot. And our Twitter poll revealed that 68% of you say that the Senator went too far with her comments. However, 32% of you say she did not. I'm going to take a quick break now, but coming up next on 6 News, we'll have more on the COVID-19 pandemic gripping America, plus calls to ban TikTok amid fears that the Chinese-owned app is collecting our data. This coming as the app pulls out of Hong Kong. And Kanye for president will show the results of our Instagram poll, asking if the rapper is really serious. Stay with us.
Streaming across the globe, Ben Norris, Rob McKnight, and David Robinson.
Ben, Robbo. News, reviews, entertainment news. It's the Ben, Robbo. Ben, Robbo Show. Ben, Robbo Show.
The Ben, Rob and Robbo Show, Monday to Thursday at 1 p.m, right here on Ticker TV.
Welcome back. As we told you earlier, there are fears that COVID-19 rapidly spread in the United States over the 4th of July holiday. Jared Taylor has the details.
Florida reported a record number of cases of the coronavirus during July 4th as America celebrated Independence Day. Revelers enjoy the beach at Coney Island in the Brooklyn borough of New York. Officials and health authorities warned people to take precaution or simply stay home on Independence Day, as confirmed cases are climbing in 40 states. We can clearly see the data after this case has shown that the coronavirus is spreading further and more rapidly after Independence Day in America.
Jared Taylor reporting there. There are calls to ban TikTok amid fears that the Chinese-owned app is collecting our data and poses a risk to national security. The popular app is used by more than 1.6 million Aussies, but now an unnamed federal MP has revealed plans to put TikTok before a Senate inquiry about foreign interference through social media. Do you think TikTok should be banned? Share your thoughts on our social media pages by using the hashtag 6NewsAU. Returning to our earlier story, and Kanye West has shocked the world after announcing he's quote-unquote running for president immediately after tweeting that the rapper received the support of Elon Musk. But many actually wonder if he's being serious. Our Instagram poll that 68% of you say he really means it, whilst 40% of you say he's just joking. It's unlikely that he can formally run given that most states have already closed their ballots, but experts say it is not impossible, so there you go. Quickly checking the weather now. Brisbane rain and 21 degrees, Sydney 15, Canberra 12, Melbourne 14, Perth 22, Darwin 32, Wollongong 15, Ballarat 11 and Hobart 12 degrees. And just before we go tonight, because we are running out of time, I just want to thank all of you for 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. This is something I never thought I could achieve when I started up 6 News. You know, as I've said before, I thought it would just be a little passion project, but it's turned into something that has given me more opportunities than I could ever imagine. I just want to take this time to quickly thank our amazing team for all their hard work. Jack, Darby, Lincoln, Jared, Liam, Seb, and of course my mum and dad working behind the scenes. I won't say too much. We are really running short of time, but yeah, thank you so much for your ongoing support, as always. And that is 6 News for this Sunday evening. You can stay up to date on our social media pages at 6NewsAU. And if you're watching via Mel Feed videos, stick around because up next is a double episode of... No, actually, Nat Chat, just one episode, then a double episode of Harmony and Diversity. I'm Leonardo Puglisi. Thanks for your company. Have a good night.